Alrighty guys, welcome to the channel. This is Steve and today we're talking about Destiny 2, and this guide is for new players and returning players to Destiny 2. So this is mainly to help you guys. For those of you who are launching into the game and have no idea what to do, this guide is going to make it very simple for you so that you're able to get into the game and just understand how everything works. We're going to split this video into two parts, one for new players and one for returning players. Y'all already know how this works. We have like 3 different characters here that we can choose from. We're going to go ahead and start with the new players guide, and then for returning players you can just skip this part and go to the returning players part. Alright, for new players, you're going to be launched into a mission or cutscene right after you make your character. So I recommend that you finish the campaign, finish those missions as soon as you launch in. It's going to walk you through a lot of the steps and even how to use the game in the first place. So I recommend finishing the campaign and finishing those main storyline quests. But let me go ahead and review to you how the whole user interface works, because it can be complicated for new players as well. So there's Open Director. This is where you're going to find all the different planets and all the different destinations that you can go to for your quest. At first you're not going to have all these unlocked, but once you finish some of the main storylines, they'll be available to you. Then we have the map section. The map opens up, and I'll go over that here in a second as soon as we launch into a planet. But once you're at a destination, the map opens up and you can see where you're at and where different vendors are at and different characters are at. Then we have the quest page where you see all of our quests available. So when you first start the story, you might be bombarded with all these quests as well as a new player. We're going to talk about these quest section in a minute, and we'll hold on to this here in a second. The main things you need to know is that you can track the quests, and then you can go back to your destinations and they'll pop up as green right here. And you can see, if I scroll down, that the quest is right here highlighted in green, and I can launch it from here. Then we have our Season 23 Season Pass, where is all the rewards that you can obtain this season. You have your free rewards that you get, and then you have your paid rewards. If you paid for the season pass, you get the premium rewards. Then we have our store where you can buy in-game content for real money, as well as use bright dust that's obtainable within the game for other rewards as well. You can also come down here to expansions and buy the different expansions available as well, which I don't recommend until you finish the main story and know what you're doing. Now let's go ahead and get into the tower. The tower is going to be your main hub, so you can simply go ahead and launch the tower by clicking on any of the landing zones, and we'll be launched into the tower. At the tower you're going to find different vendors. There's going to be one for the Vanguard operations, one for Crucible operations, one for Gambit, as well as your Cryptarch, who's able to decode engrams, and your gunsmith that gives you gunsmith bounties. You can level up all these vendors and get rewards from them by completing bounties for them, and sometimes they even offer you quests. Each week you need to complete about 8 bounties to obtain the reward that they give you. While you complete these bounties, you're also leveling up the vendor to be able to get those rewards, and I'll show you that here. So we're in the tower now. The first thing you want to know is right here is the Cryptarch. You're going to get different engrams throughout the game and be able to decode engrams here at the Cryptarch. He also offers different valuable resources that you can buy, and we'll go over that here in a second. We also have our gunsmith, Banshee 44. He's able to offer you different gunsmith bounties. For example, kill different enemies with different types of guns. As you can see, rocket launcher, kinetic weapons, fusion rifles. And as you complete these, you get XP. This XP translates to here, and you're going to level up in rank. Pretty much you're able to rank up each vendor. Once you rank up each vendor, you're able to get these rank rewards. It's the same for every vendor. Now we have over here Lord Shax. He's our Crucible operator. Crucible is for player versus player, so it's where you verse other players in different game modes, and here you can obtain bounties from him. He has bounties like complete matches, defeat opponents with solar damage, defeat them with melee, and things like that. And he also has different ranks that you can level up. And then if we come all the way to the left and the back, we have Commander Zaval. He's a Vanguard operator, and he is able to give you Vanguard operation bounties. And we're going to talk about each of these different things here in a second. Now we have our Ghost, which is a part of our options right here to open our director. We can either return to orbit, which will return us to that main loading page in the beginning, or we can click and hold to see our map. So this is an easy way to see the map. You can see all the different vendors available. And like I said, there's different bounties that you can complete. If I complete 8 bounties for our Vanguard, we're able to get Pinnacle gear. And then we also have 8 bounties that we can complete for our Crucible, for our Gunsmith. We also have bounties that we can complete for our other vendors over here in the hangar. So that's as simple as that. You complete different bounties for different vendors. You come to the tower and you can give the bounties to them. Now let me go ahead and obtain some bounties, and let me show you where it pops up for you in your main menu. So once you click on one of these vendors and you obtain a bounty, I'll just obtain a few bounties right now. Alright, and then I can go to my quests tab, and in my quest tab you can see that the bounties have popped up on the right side right here. If I go to all my quests, you can see they're popped up right here. As soon as I finish them, they're gonna have an exclamation mark, and to pretty much turn in the bounties to the vendors, you just click on each one. Right now I can't click on them, but once you click on them after they're finished, those bounties will be transferred over to the vendors and you'll gain experience for each vendor. So once you finished a bounty, you're able to see those bounties pop up here. Right now it's 0 out of 8, but it'll show 1 or 2 or 3 out of 8, how many ever you've completed. Then we also have something called our Postmaster. So anytime you're playing within the game and some loot drops or an engram drops, those that you may have missed or not been able to pick up during the game because you either died or you proceeded with the mission and forgot to pick it up, or maybe you killed an enemy and the loot was dropped but you never went and picked it up and you didn't even see it, those will pop up here at the Postmaster and you can pick them up from here. So you'll always know that you're never going to miss loot or anything like that. If it dropped and you forgot to pick it up in the game, it's going to come to your Postmaster and you can come and get it. And then sometimes you get gifts at the Eververse. Eververse is another way of seeing the store. And sometimes this Eververse here has gifts for you that you obtain by playing the game as well, or through the season pass. And you can come and pick it up from her. There's also one other thing. When you purchase expansions, there's a terminal here for special deliveries. Right now there's nothing here, but whenever you do buy expansion, sometimes they have a secret stash that they deliver every time you do, and you're going to be able to obtain it from here. Those are just some extra gifts that you're able to obtain. Now the rest of this game should be fairly simple as you play it through, but let me go ahead and show you guys a few more things in the director for you new players. So when you go to the director, as you can see, you can land in these different zones, but if you go to destinations, right, there's these things at the top, right, these yellow markers right here. What these yellow stars are is pretty much challenges. They pretty much stand for weekly challenges or daily challenges. Each week you can complete up to 3 ritual activities to get a powerful exotic gear or powerful reward. And so that's what that is. The gold star just pretty much means that there's a weekly challenge that you haven't completed and you can complete it to get that extra reward. As you can see here, there's weekly challenges here for earning points by completing nightfalls. When it says to complete ritual activities, weekly 1 of 3 complete ritual activities. Ritual activities consist of this, the Vanguard playlist, the Gambit playlist, the Crucible playlist, or the Legends playlist. So any of these are considered ritual activities. Now if you click on Gambit, you can see the complete ritual activities pops up right here as well. So if you did one of these and then you did a Vanguard playlist activity and you did a Crucible activity, those would all count towards the ritual activities. So if I did 1 Vanguard playlist, 1 Gambit playlist, and 1 Crucible playlist, those would all count towards 3 ritual activities and you would obtain that reward. That engram is going to pop up in your character menu. And so when you open up the character menu, you can see all your different armor pieces and things like that. Weapons on the left side, armor on the right side. If you go to inventory on the right, your engrams are going to pop up here. So the rewards usually pop up here in this area. Now let's go back and just see exactly all the different available activities. So we have our Vanguard playlist, right? Those are different strikes, and you're going to understand what strikes are as you play the game. Then you have your Gambit, which is a player versus player, but it's a co-op mode. And then Crucible is player versus player, like team deathmatch, domination, those type of game modes. For Control is domination for this game. We have competitive, which is ranked play, a 3v3 playlist. We have a 3v3 over here as well, and then Rumble is like a free-for-all. and Clash is like a team deathmatch. Crucible is where you find all your player versus player type of contents where you verse other Guardian. Now Legends is a whole different playlist. Legends means pretty much anything from Destiny 1, and the original raids from Destiny 1 and Dungeons are going to be here. Now these raids are actually remade for Destiny 2. What that means is it's the same raid, but the mechanics have changed slightly for Destiny 2's mechanics. And so these are going to hold your original raids from Destiny 1 like King's Fall, Crota's, and Vault of Glass. For new players that don't understand what a raid is a 6-player operation where the players have to communicate with each other. They need mics to talk with each other and communicate how to solve certain puzzles and mechanics, as well as defeat bosses within the game. Raids take a lot longer than strikes and regular missions. It's more difficult as well. The same thing with the dungeon, but the dungeon is with 3 players instead of 6. It's a minimized version of the raid and it takes less time, but the dungeon is about the same. You need to be able to communicate with your players over a mic and understand how certain mechanics work and solve puzzles and defeat bosses to finish the dungeon. At the end of a dungeon or raid, you are able to get valuable gear that you cannot obtain within any other part of the game. So when they talk about raid loot or dungeon loot, that loot is very valuable. It's not obtainable any other part of the game. It's not a random drop. Those are only obtainable through these type of activities. Then we also have our weekly exotic mission here where you're able to obtain exotic armor. So now let's go ahead and talk about armor and the different types of weapons you're able to obtain in this game. So if you go to your options, right, and you open up your character, this is the main page where you build your loadout pretty much of your character. You can actually save loadouts too on the side here, and I have different loadouts for different occasions. Now this is going to be a little bit complicated, but it's fairly simple. So on our right side we have all of our armor pieces, and on our left side we have all of our weapons. Now legendary gear and exotic gear is the best gear available within the game. We also have here in our top left, that's important to mention, our subclass. Right now there are 5 subclasses available. When you begin in the game as a new player, there's only 1, and then you're able to get up to 3, then eventually 4 and 5. Let's go ahead and start with our solar subclass right here. Within each subclass there's different abilities you can attach, different fragments that do different things, as you can see here, and then there's different aspects. One great thing about this game is that you can actually build your character around the playstyle that you want. There's so many different playstyles, so many different ways to power up and use different combinations. You also have your main ability that you can use, which is your super, and you can equip which super you want over here. This is also where you can change your grenades and different your melee abilities here as well. Now we've talked about the abilities, let's talk about weapons. So just like weapons and armor, there's legendary gear, there's exotic gear. Those are the ones you want to go for. But in the beginning, you're going to start out with normal gear, which is going to be labeled in white. Then you're able to obtain common gear, then rare gear, which is going to be labeled green and blue respectively. Then you're going to be able to get legendary gear, which is purple, and exotic gear, which is yellow. Exotic gears are the most rarest, but there's also legendary gear that is very rare, only obtainable in certain raids or dungeons. So there's exotic weapons and exotic armor pieces. With exotic gear and exotic weapons, you can only equip 1 exotic weapon at a time, and you can only equip 1 exotic armor piece at a time. Right here you can see your rank as well, and you're able to rank up your guardian in different ranks as you play the game. You're able to complete different challenges within this section right here. Once you complete those different challenges, you're able to rank up in gear. But for a new player, this is not something you should really be worried about until you start leveling up and doing more of the story and obtaining armor pieces and looking to do endgame content. If we go to the left and we go to the collections tab, we can see all the different collections. These are different things you've obtained, different gear that you've obtained. You can keep track of every little thing in this game. Then all the way on the left is a clan. You can create your own clan, not within game, but you can create it at the Destiny 2 website. But you can join clans as well from here. Now, if you reach this far into the video for new players, this is where the new players guide ends. Now I'm going to be talking about the returning players, and I recommend for new players to watch this as well so they understand exactly what quests I recommend to start on after you finish the main campaign. For returning players, it's going to be pretty simple because you guys already know how the game works, how the menus work, all that. But there are a few new things that have been added since Destiny 2 first ever released, especially since we're in year 7 now. A lot of things have changed as far as the user interface. So as soon as you open up the director, you go to your quests, you see all the different quests here. So this is probably the most confusing part when you come back to Destiny 2. You're like wondering, what am I supposed to do? There's so many quests. Where do I even start? So what I recommend for returning players is to come over here to the quest tab and just scroll down, and you can see all these different tabs. So the first one's the featured quest. It's going to be the most recent quest from the most recent season and the most recent exotic quest, stuff like that. And then the seasonal challenges that are available in this season. So right now we're in Season of the Wish, which is the final season before the final shape actually releases. And if you don't know what the final shape is the final expansion pack of Destiny 2, the final chapter. So this is where the story is going to all wrap up. It's going to be released this year in June 2024 and probably wraps up in June 2025. First one's a featured quest, as I mentioned. Then we have all of your quests right here. And then you can go down to New Light. This is mostly going to be there for new players that haven't finished certain quests or for your new characters. Lightfall is right now the current expansion that we're on, and all the quests for the Lightfall expansion will be here. And we have our seasonal quests. So each expansion comes with about 4 to 5 seasons. And since we're in Season of the Wish, all the seasonal quests are going to be located here. Playlists are only going to be your Vanguard, Crucible, and Gambit quests. And then finally, you have your exotic quests, all your exotic quests. Every quest that gives you either an exotic catalyst or an exotic weapon or exotic armor piece. The past is all of the past expansions or past quests that are still available for you to get. These are actually different quests that you can complete from past expansions. For example, Beyond Light is an expansion that you can purchase, and you can finish all the campaign quests for that expansion. However, for you to play the Beyond Light expansion or a different expansion, you do have to purchase that expansion. So even though it shows up in your menu, you might not be able to play it actually unless you actually purchase the expansion. So as you can see, if I go here and I try to start the Beyond Light quest, it says Destiny 2 Beyond Light expansion is required, and then it says I have to buy it in order to access it. So there's some parts in the game, of course, that are locked because you don't have a certain particular expansion for the game. And so what I recommend for you after seeing all these quests is to start on the campaign quest just to get yourself acquainted again with Destiny 2 and understand how everything works. So for me, it's showing up as a Witch Queen. It might show up as Shadowkeep, or it might show up as a different one for you. It all depends which seasons you have completed and which ones you haven't. That's what I recommend as far as the first quest to begin. Then there's also seasonal activities or seasonal quests. So I also recommend just finishing all the quests for the current season so you know how all the mechanics and all the different quests and strikes, arenas, all that works within the current season. After you finished those, I would recommend going to the past expansions and playing some quests that you want to play. But you actually don't even have to play all the campaign quests. There's plenty of raids, plenty of strikes, plenty of dungeons available for you to get high armor, exotic gear, legendary gear, legendary weapons from those without actually having to do any of the campaigns or anything like that. Now, if you want to understand the story of how everything fits together, I would recommend playing those past expansion quests. I hope that explains how all the different campaigns and storylines and quests all are available to you in this quest section, because I know it can be overwhelming. When I first came back and I saw all these different quests, I was like, where do I even begin? But honestly, just begin on the campaigns first. Some of these are just side quests, and then some of them are quests for certain weapons and certain gear that you need. Of course, whenever you come to a quest and you want to track a quest, you can track it, go to your destinations, and it's available right here at the bottom for this particular quest, and you can see it's tracked in green, and I can start the quest right there. A new season pass is given within every season, and you can go all the way up to level 100. The top row of the season, all these rewards are free, and then the bottom row is paid for, so it's more like a premium season pass. Now, the last thing I need to mention for returning players is going to be this Fireteam Finders. If you played in Destiny 1 or earlier in Destiny 2, you know that it was very hard to find people to play raids or dungeons with. You would need to have friends to play with. Now there is a thing called LFG, which is looking for a group, and you can create a listing for a particular raid or search for a listing for a particular raid. So let's just say I want to search for a raid that I want to do, right? Because raids require 6 people and I might not have 6 friends to go play a raid with. So you can go and search, go to raids, and then you can click on the different raids available. Some of these are not available right now here because I don't have the expansion. I have it on my PlayStation, but I don't have it on my PC, so it's not popping up here. But if you were to go here and you can click on a raid, you can click on the difficulty and confirm, right? And all the available listings for the raid that someone else has listed, right? Someone needs help on a raid. They already have 5 people here, so I can actually join, and it's going to be application pending. If they accept, then I can join. Some of them don't actually require an application. For example, this one right here, I can join. And I'm automatically put into the lobby with them, into the party with them. Now I can click ready up to be ready for the raid and show that I'm ready. I'm going to go ahead and cancel that right now. Good thing is that you can list your own. You can create a listing for your raid or dungeon that you need help with. You can click and create a raid. You can click the different listing titles and different tags, the settings, how many Fireteam members you need, and create that listing and wait. And then you're able to launch the activity from there as well. So that's a new feature that's available that actually makes it very easy to do raids and obtain loot without friends. As a solo player, it's very helpful. Then that pretty much wraps up this video. So if you do like this video, guys, please do make sure to like it if it really does help you, and subscribe as well. Now I'm going to go ahead and talk about the final shape, which is the final expansion that's releasing here in June of 2024. I made a video about whether a new or returning player should purchase this expansion or look forward to it and invest their time into it. So make sure to watch that video if you're thinking about it. And I go over a lot about, you know, what to expect as a new or returning player. I hope you found this video super helpful, and I'm looking forward to making more content on Destiny. If there's any type of video or any type of feature or anything you're stuck with, just go ahead and ask the questions in the comment section below, and I'll make sure to answer or make a video on it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you loved the video, and I'll talk to you guys later.